Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
First, a word from our sponsor. The Daily Compliance News for December 21, 2023. Yes, it's the winter solstice, the Fat Leonard Returns edition. And we begin with that story from the Wall Street Journal. Kind of buried in the news about the release of, or the prisoner exchange between the United States and Venezuela. Fat Leonard has been one of the detained Americans returned. It's not clear whether he was the deal was simply to get him back so he could face justice, but the trademark, a breakthrough in the Biden administration's rapprochement with Caracas. Given what's been going on with Guyana, you have to wonder what the heck are they thinking, but maybe they wanted Fat Leonard to actually go to trial. Next up from the Financial Times, a very interesting video about how corruption and crime turned off the lights in South Africa through the South African state power company Eskom, battling a legacy of neglect, mismanagement, and state capture. So once again, the corruption of South Africa, once endemic and perhaps still, comes to light in another story about the corruption at Eskom. Next up, also from the Wall Street Journal, our second story today, this one by Catherine Blunt, is unfortunately the obituary for Rebecca Smith. She was the Wall Street Journal reporter who broke the Enron corruption story or fraud story and passed away at age 68. The crisis was something that she was really destined to expose and report on because of her in-depth knowledge of the utility business and the failure of California's energy deregulation problems all wound up into Enron. The scandal, she was nominated for a Pulitzer for this reporting and won a Loeb Award for her exceptional reporting. If you've not read any of her work, I would heartily suggest you do so. It's some compelling stories, stuff really that should be in the fiction world, but it's not, unfortunately. And it's great writing, as you would expect from top-notch Wall Street Journal reporters. And our final story comes to us from Fortune, who reports that Warren Buffett's bribery allegations against Jimmy Haslam, the owner of the Cleveland Browns and former owner of Pilot truck stop chain, cannot be used in civil litigation involving the two parties. Buffett wanted to claim that Haslam, or at least the billionaire, tried to bribe employees to inflate the company's value as Berkshire defends itself in a dispute over the company's accounting practices. The ruling came in a lawsuit in which Pilot claims Berkshire Hathaway had used accounting changes to artificially depress the prices, so it would have to pay for the Haslam's family's remaining 20% stake. So even billionaires can get greedy sometimes. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.